Humanity has spent thousands of years being conditioned to fear what lies beneath our boots. From the earliest campfires, we've looked down at the dirt and associated the subterranean with everything corrupt, hidden, and final. Think about the stories we tell ourselves. The villains of cinema never plot global domination from a sunlit penthouse balcony. They build concrete bunkers deep inside hollowed out volcanoes or beneath the streets of major cities. We put our dungeons in the damp dark of castle cellars. Our mythologies place hell firmly beneath the earth's crust, a roaring furnace of eternal punishment. And when our time on this earth is done, we're lowered into a 6-foot hole to be consumed by the soil. The collective unconsciousness is clear on the matter. The surface is for the living, and the deep is for the damned. Yet every single morning, thousands of men and women in the demolition and construction sectors deliberately step off the edge of the daylight. They grab their hard hats, they boot up, and climb down into the trenches, the shafts, and the massive basement excavations that scar our urban landscapes. For them, the dark beneath the surface is a workplace, a second home, the arena where they earn their daily bread. They don't share the civilian dread of the deep because they know the truth of the dirt. They understand that before anything great can rise into the sky, someone has to go down into the dark and fight the earth for the space. To step down into a deep excavation is to enter a world where the chaotic roar of the city evaporates, replaced by a heavy, muffled silence. The air changes instantly, dropping to a constant subterranean chill that smells richly of ancient damp clay, diesel exhaust and wet concrete. For the civilian, the sheer weight of the surrounding earth pressing against the shoring triggers a primitive claustrophobia. But for the ground worker, this confined space feels like a familiar embrace. The high visibility jacket protects against the damp, and the mud on the boots feels like solid ground. Down here, protected from the wind and the rain, the earth feels like home. It's a private arena where the relentless rhythm of the piling rig and the scraping of the bucket become a reassuring soundtrack, turning a dark pit into a sanctuary of honest labour. Now, of course, it's a brutal, unforgiving environment, and nobody in the trade is blind to the risks. The earth is heavy, unpredictable, and entirely indifferent to human ambition. A single miscalculation in the shoring, a sudden shift in the water table, or a moment of complacency can turn a trench into a tomb in the blink of an eye. Trench collapses remain one of the most terrifying hazards on any civil site, a silent, crushing weight that gives no warning. The danger is real, physical, and immediate. Yet the people who operate the excavators and handle the piling rigs keep going down, driven by professional necessity that the average person on the street will never fully comprehend. There's a strange sort of magic buried in that darkness too. When you break ground on an old urban site, you're effectively opening up a time capsule that has been sealed possibly for centuries. Demolition and groundworks crews are frequently the very first people to lay eyes on long-lost relics of the past. They uncover Roman roads, Victorian foundations, wartime ordnance, and the forgotten basements of ancestors who walked these same streets hundreds of years ago. In that sense, the excavator bucket becomes a tool of historical discovery. The subterranean world holds the secrets of the past, and it takes a special breed of worker to go down there and to fish them out. The public looks at a deep excavation and sees a scar, a void, or an ominous reminder of finality. They view the hole in the ground as the end of the line. But for the construction professional, that hole represents a beginning. You can't build a modern metropolis on topsoil. You can't support a 40-story tower on hope. Every structure that defines our skylines relies entirely on the invisible, unglamorous labour taking place beneath the pavement. The massive concrete rafts, the deep piles into the bedrock, and the complex networks of services that are the true anchors of civilization. When we look at the premise that nothing good happens below ground, We have to realise that it was coined by people who only look down when they're mourning or afraid. The rest of the world sees the soil as the final resting place. For the demolition contractor tearing out the failed infrastructure of yesteryear, and for the groundworker pouring concrete for tomorrow, the dark is actually the starting line. It's the cradle of everything new. And when one day our time comes to be buried in the earth, we should have nothing to fear. Because for us, we're going home.